Welcome to the program today. Mauro Gonzalez here in studio with good friend L.A. Marzulli, and we're going to be talking about his upcoming film, which is about ready to be released. Rich, we're going to get some details on that. The question is the UFO phenomenon extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional? Stick around. Welcome back, and it is always fun for me to sit down with my good friend L.A. Marzulli. I mean, we've been through a lot together, and
we have,
and all over the world, adventures and different things. And it's fun for me watching you, again, God's gifts, and you excel in what you're doing, especially with this very difficult topic of UFOs. It's become a little bit more mainstream as the church is now has generally been behind the scenes or behind the curve would be a better way to say it.
Very much so.
But here, episodes 9 and 10, you know, in your UFO series, and this one, UFO disclosure, and so right here right out of the gate here, kind of give us the background of you're wrapping up this series, where you've been, and not you don't have to recount everything. That's not what I'm after, but where you've been and what you tried to do in this last.
Well, I mean, this will be number 9 and 10 in the series, and we've talked about everything from implants to abductions to close encounters of the first, second, third, fourth kind. Karen Wilkinson is the tentpole, the mainstay of our abduction film. Crop circles. I mean, we were at the Crop Circle Museum over in the UK. When you look at the cattle mutilation phenomena, which is very, very darkest film I've ever worked on, and what we discovered there was shocking, and how it actually relates to the abduction phenomena. But here's the kicker. All that information. So are we looking at beings from some faraway planet, some faraway galaxy, or are these interdimensional entities? And of course, I know right off, because you and I have discussed this for years, we hold to the latter. We believe that these are nefarious entities from another dimension, i.e. fallen angels is what they are. And the moment you say angels, you see that has a whole set of bags with it, as it were. A lot of baggage when you say angels. People have different concepts of what angels are. We know from the biblical prophetic narrative that roughly a third of the hosts of heaven fell with Lucifer, with Satan. They all went with him. And that's a 3-hour conversation. That's a very deep, deep, deep mystery. And we don't have time to get into that. But we also know that there's a breeding program going on, Genesis 3:15. And that's where we focus into our abduction phenomena. So on the other side of the aisle, and this is what we do in the film, we bring people like Nick Pope, who is certainly on the other side of the aisle. He's a really smart guy. And Nick and I doing this little exchange, and
like you're saying, he's secular, basically.
Yeah, but he believes that these are extraterrestrials, is what he believes. George Norrie believes that these are extraterrestrials. George Norrie's producer, Tom Danheiser, believes that these are extraterrestrials. George Haas, who has his website and lectures all over on the UFO circuit, extraterrestrials. We believe, and you and me and Gary Stearman and Bob Ulrich and everybody else at Prophecy Watchers basically believe that no, these are not extraterrestrials. These are interdimensional entities, i.e. fallen angels. This is part of what I call the coming great deception, or what 2 Thessalonians states, the strong delusion, because that's what it is.
You know, and it's interesting because here we are, you know, we're creating a television program, and you guys are watching this, or maybe you've been a follower of Prophecy Watchers for a while, or maybe you just turned this on. But as a Christian, I think the reason why we discuss this, and I think this, let's lay that foundation, L.A. The reason why we even spend the time on this to discuss it, or even you yourself spending much of your life on this.
Yeah, a lifetime.
Yes, is because this is coming to a head. We've seen the government lately talk about this. It's become mainstream. It's not tinfoil hats anymore. And yet we know, this is the key, there's two different agendas that are going here. We have the data. We all have the same data. So talk about in the sense of, we all have the same data of the different things, but the importance of the two competing paradigms as it relates to deception. And for the average Christian out there that's hearing this going, well, why do I need to know this? Well, they need to know this because...
They need to know this because if a mile-wide craft shows up over any city, or if numerous mile-wide crafts show up at multiple cities over the planet, which is the punchline, and we'll get to that eventually. That's a game changer. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you will be deceived. Jesus warns us that even the elect would be deceived if that were possible, okay? That men and women will faint from fear from what is coming upon the earth. Something is up, and it's not normal. It's like the days of Noah. So and we don't have time to get into all the biblical passages which point to what we're looking at, but this is it. And you know, in 2017, when Commander David Fravor was on Tucker Carlson's show, that opened the floodgates essentially. And when he stated, when Tucker Carlson asked Commander David Fravor, in your opinion, what was this tic-tac shaped UFO, UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena that you saw? And Commander David Fravor looks right at the camera and says, whatever this was not from this earth. That's a groundbreaking statement on Tucker Carlson. And from there, we are just climbing up the rungs on the ladder of disclosure.
You know, and we'll see if we have time to get into that a little bit more, but I want to remind everybody here in LA, so we have the mainstream media like here, like, you know, Tucker and Fox and other things. But then the other thing that we've been seeing, and this is why it's important additionally as well, is the government itself. Now, there's meetings in Congress over the last few years. I mean, this is unparalleled, unprecedented. You see those that are for disclosure, and you see those that are fighting it.
Yep.
And so you have this battle there, but yet the fascinating thing to me is that you have, again, Representative Mace and others in these meetings. They're asking, well, who's fighting this? Who do we have to talk to if it's not you? And you know, having these whistleblowers. But yet, regardless of how much they talk and how much they bring out, they're still going to be approaching it from a non-biblical framework. And again, that's one of the things that you bring out here, which is so good. They have no other choice except to say it's extraterrestrial, do they? I mean, they're not going to jump on our biblical framework.
Well, what's interesting is recently, just very, very recently, the mainstream media came out with several headlines talking about maybe these are interdimensional, maybe these are demonic. In fact, when David Grush, who you mentioned with Representative Nancy Mace from South Carolina, so Grush is in the congressional hearing. And remember, he's under oath, and Nancy Mace is asking him questions. Did you retrieve crashed craft? And Grush says, yes, we did. And then Mace follows up with the follow-up question, were there bodies in these craft that were recovered? And he says, yes, we recovered non-biologics in some of the craft. And Mace answered,
biologics.
Yeah, thank you. And then Nancy Mace follows up with the question, were these biologics human or non-human? And Grush looks right up at her without missing a beat. You know, the body language tells me everything. He's looking like this. He's telling the truth as he knows it. There's no doubt about that. And Grush says the biologics were non-human biologics. That is a groundbreaking statement. And it's something that every Christian, every pastor needs to address, because it's no longer L.A. Marzulli on Coast to Coast or whatever, or prophecy watchers, you know, frantically waving my arms telling you, it's coming, the great deception is coming. It's here. And the fact that David Grush in the halls of Congress would state something like this is amazing.
Well, I think that's the exact question that for us is that you're going to have these two paradigms, and that's really what we want to get to. And as a Christian, these are facts. So we got to have a biblical framework and viewpoint on this. So we're going to take a little break here to see how to get our magazine, and we're going to get into more depth when we come back.
10 years ago, we began an exciting journey, a mission dedicated to spreading the good news of the soon return of Jesus. Our passion for teaching Bible prophecy is what drives us to warn the world of events that are soon to come. In the last 2 years, tens of thousands of prophecy watchers from all over the world have subscribed to our monthly magazine, The Prophecy Watcher. Our first Too Good to Be True offer came with 8 bonus DVDs. Our second offer came with 10 bonus DVDs, but our 10-year anniversary offer is even better. 12 DVDs on Bible prophecy can be yours when you subscribe to our 48-page full-color magazine for just 1 year, print or digital format, all for a gift of $50, with shipping included in the USA. Recent events have turned the world upside down. The COVID-19 pandemic was followed by Russia's war in Ukraine, all overshadowed by the horrific October 7th tragedy in Israel. The prophets of the Bible predicted a series of end-time wars, and we're seeing the final pieces of the puzzle fall into place. Russia, China, Iran, Syria, Turkey. The enemies of Israel are on the doorstep, just as the Bible predicted some 2,500 years ago. The Prophecy Watcher magazine includes the writing of dozens of prophecy experts like Gary Stearman, Mando Gonzalez, L.A. Marzulli, Bill Salas, Josh Peck, and many others, writing on fascinating subjects like the Rapture, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Red Heifer, the World Economic Forum, the Global Reset, digital currency, the Mark of the Beast, the Nephilim, and the Antichrist Beast's system of global control. Things you will likely never hear about in church. 12 bonus DVDs will introduce you to Ezekiel's Gog and Magog War. We'll examine the supernatural side of the Bible as we investigate controversial issues like the Nephilim, government UFO cover-ups, and the Shroud of Turin. We'll address the Luciferian Rebellion, a mutiny that changed heaven and earth forever. Speaking of heaven, you'll enjoy Mondo's glimpse into God's creation as he explores the stunning beauty of the stars and galaxies, seen through the lens of our Psalm 19 observatory cameras. 12 issues of the magazine plus 12 bonus DVDs, a $180 value, now available for your gift of $50 to support our worldwide television outreach. Care to become a fellow Prophecy Watcher? Just visit our online bookstore at prophecywatchers.tv. Partner with us today and help us take the message of the soon return of Jesus to the whole world.
Well, welcome back, and we are talking to L.A. Marzulli about his most recent film that's about to hit the wavelengths, or hit the shelves, so to speak. We were before the break. We were talking about just the things that were going on in the congressional hearings. Kind of share a little bit more about that.
Well, a couple of weeks later, they reconvened, and David Grush once again was there. Tim Burchett was there. Other representatives were there. Anna Paulina Luna was there. Nancy Mace, I believe, was there, but she didn't come on camera. But Anna Paulina Luna came on camera and said, we need to pay attention to what David Grush is telling us, because Grush is stating that he believes these entities, this phenomenon, is interdimensional. And that was huge. And then from there, you know, the person who was asking the questions, the reporter, well, what do you mean by that? And Paulina sort of goes into that. A week later, 2 weeks later, whatever, but in the same general time period, several articles came out, mainstream media again, you know, are UFOs demonic in nature? And of course, this is my wheelhouse. But you see, when you say something like demonic, immediately it's like, oh, you know, here we go.
Religious.
Those born again Christians are starting again. What people don't understand is there's an agenda here, and it's a very nefarious agenda, and everything hails back to Genesis 3:15. Satan, the dragon, is outnumbered 2-1. He is creating an army. There are hybrids walking amongst us. There is a breeding program. All of our films talk about that. I mean, the abduction phenomena film number 4 is a mind blower.
And
it really is.
The key about all this is it's not just religious, but there's secular people. You know, Mac. All the other, I'm forgetting
Dr.
about
David Jacobs.
Jacob Jacobs and others. They've documented all this from a secular, non-religious perspective, and so this isn't make-believe. It's not.
And the phenomenon is real. There's a definite physicality to it. The craft are solid. Now there can be, and I've had reports from people that see a craft come in and they rebuke it in the name of Jesus. The craft morphs into a dragon and flew away.
Weird.
One eyewitness saw that and emailed me. So it's a very complex bag. But again, in 7 and 8, when we're out in Roswell Revisited and Roswell in the debris field, we've already talked about that, but briefly, we were in the debris field in Roswell, 1947, where that crash came down, and we found 2 pieces of the metal that was buried 8 inches below the surface. That metal showed trauma, high heat. It was folded in on itself. We tested the metal, and it's from the aluminum 7000 series, but it's not an exact match. What's that doing in the debris field 8 inches below the surface? And the metallurgist who examined it stated on the record that whatever this is, something very traumatic happened to it, which that's the craft crashing in the debris field. So there's definite physicality to it. When people are abducted, they are taken. Women are impregnated. People are implanted. That's why we took out the implant. We're the only Christian ministry ever to do that.
Well, this is kind of what I think brings up what I find the fascinating part here is that when we say, you have the secular view, and this is what you do in the film, you're allowing them to speak their secular views, because that's
unchallenged, by the way.
Exactly, unchallenged.
Yeah.
You just said, what do you guys think? And so, but the key thing in all this, it's like anything with archaeology. Everybody has the same data. You might have the same artifacts, the same physical evidence, and then it's a matter of interpretation at that point.
Correct.
But what I find fascinating is the Christian paradigm, generally, has not been able to interact with or accept the idea of anything physical.
Which is really problematic.
That's problem because if you're like, oh, it's a demon. We just think it's a demon. It's non-physical. Demons are So when we talk about, maybe give us that definition. When we're talking about extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional, is that extra-dimensional, is that automatically mean not physical? Because if that's the case, it doesn't incorporate the physicality of what you're describing. So give us a better definition of extra-dimensional. Can it include physicality?
It does, and absolutely. And I'll get into that. I just want to give a shout out to my business partner, Gil Zimmerman, because we did the cattle mutilations films together, the Roswell films, and now 9 and 10. So, Gil and I we've hit our stride. It's a great team, and hats off. Thank you, Gil. But there's a book that I started working on, and the Lord redirected my steps. So the book I'm working on now is The Rungs on the Ladder of Disclosure. It'll be out this year. I'm getting close to the finish line. But the book that I already have like 6-7 chapters to it was on supernatural technology in the Bible. And I open up with the Garden of Eden because Adam and Eve get the boot, they get the eviction, they move out. And so the east gate is guarded by the cherubim. And there's 2 of them on either side. But between them is a flaming sword which goes every which way. What is that flaming sword that goes every which way? It's like a lightsaber. I mean, a flaming sword is a lightsaber.
And it's blocking Adam and Eve, who are physical.
Yes.
So as they go up to walk in, or anybody else, later,
right?
It's physically
Can't
blocking them. Yeah. It's not some spiritual mumbo jumbo.
It's not.
It's a physical thing.
It's a physicality. And I'll go from Genesis, let's go to Revelation. The New Jerusalem is 1,500 miles long, wide, and high. Is it a pyramid? So you say pyramid, immediately people think of the occult. I get that. I lean towards pyramid because the fallen one, the dragon, is always copycatting.
Mimicking God, yeah.
Always mimicking. Now, if it isn't, don't stone me in the parking lot.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, that's technology. The engineering for a 1,500-mile city, descending from the clouds, how does it descend? Well, it's supernatural, eh? Really? Or does it have some sort of anti-gravity propulsion system like these things do? We don't know. Admittedly, it's conjecture on my part, but that's physicality. The New Jerusalem is not, some illusion. It's not. It's real. The streets are there, and we'll be living there at some point, which is just mind-boggling. So this phenomenon, in all of its parts, cattle mutilations, crop circles, the crashes. I mean, we show all this in the film series. We are the only. I'll boast here, as Paul would say, but I am boasting, but the credit goes to the Lord, because the Lord raised me up for this. I'm in my lane. This is what he's called me to do. This is why we're doing it.
It's what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15:10. He said, I labored more than all of them, but not I, but the grace of God within me.
It's the hand of the Lord doing this. But we are the only Christian ministry. We have 10 films in the series, and it's all from a biblical prophetic narrative, and it's very much in depth. If you watch these films, you'll walk away and you'll never be deceived.
Well, what I like is, again, I've been involved with LA for 10 years now, but what I like, LA, what you do is you're not just sitting in the library.
No, we're not.
You're out in
the library is important.
The library is important.
Yeah.
But you're out in the field. You're out
all the time,
meeting people. You're out making contacts with people who have been involved. You're researching. You're getting documentation. I mean, that's the goal of research. Is not just sitting again in the library, but getting out
and reading what other people have done.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when we go out to the debris field and we get 2 pieces of metal and we're testing that, that's hardcore research. We're in Hangar 84 in Roswell, New Mexico, which is the place where they took the wreckage. It's all in the films. And then, of course, here we've interviewed a lot of people in What is the Truth.
Yeah, and so as we think about this, What I want to do here in a minute, we're going to take a little break here where you can see how to get LA's film, and it comes with a 9 and 10, which again is going to be awesome. But when we come back, we've got some other things which I think will help us wrap up and understand as we're watching the end of the age approach, and we're seeing the way that the government, the mainstream media, they're all jumping on this bandwagon and they're setting the stage, including the Hollywood media. And so, take a listen.
L.A. Marzulli has been a close friend of Prophecy Watchers for 15 years, and he brings a message you will certainly not hear in church on Sunday morning. The majority of people who don't follow Prophecy Watchers may find this information shocking, perhaps even unbelievable. But we always go back to the scriptures, to the ancient battle in the heavens, a seed war first mentioned in Genesis 3:15. In the ancient past, perhaps a very long time ago, one of heaven's most beautiful and powerful angels, Lucifer, led an angelic rebellion, taking a third of the angels with him in what can only be described as a heavenly mutiny. These fallen angels had access to the secrets of heaven, advanced technology, and we know that the Bible refers to Lucifer as the prince of the power of the air for a reason. We're not fully aware of the powers these angels have, but we're convinced that they do fly in physical crafts. We're convinced, as are many military pilots, that these crafts are not of this world. They fly at extraordinary speeds and perform maneuvers far beyond the ability of our modern aircraft. LA has been on a mission to reveal their nefarious plans, producing a series of films that cover the dark side of history: UFOs, abductions, crop circles, cattle mutilations. His series of 10 DVDs covers the gamut of what some would call conspiracy theories, except the physical evidence. The witnesses and the top secret government cover-ups tell us otherwise. His new double DVD set, What is Truth?, is available for your gift of $50 with shipping included in the USA. We'll also include 2 free bonuses: Project Jehovah, a deep dive into the 76-year-old government cover-up of Roswell, and Rescued by an Angel, Gary Stearman's own personal UFO encounter in the skies over Texas. Perhaps you'd like to invest in the entire L.A. Marzulli series, all 10 DVDs covering all aspects of Lucifer's agenda for mankind. It's an amazing treasure trove of groundbreaking research and insight. All 10 DVDs are available for your gift of $200 with the Project Jehovah and Rescued by an Angel DVD bonuses included. Call us toll-free 24/7 and ask for the What is Truth DVD set, or if you'd like the entire collection of 10 DVDs, ask for the L.A. Marzulli UFO collection, or visit our online bookstore at Prophecy Watchers TV. For our international friends, please note that additional shipping fees will apply and all prices are in US dollars. Thanks for tuning in today. There's a great deception coming upon the whole world. Make sure you're not deceived.
Well, welcome back. And again, I was blessed by LA's new film, and I know you will be too. But LA, as we think about this, again, my mind thinks like an archaeologist, data, data, data.
Right.
So the secular group, the secular paradigm, and the biblical paradigm, give us just a snapshot. What's the data that we're talking about? Is it just make believe, or is it just what's the data?
The data has been going on for decades, literally decades, with the abductions, with the implants, with the crop circles, with the cattle mutilations. The phenomenon is not dying down, it's actually burgeoning. It's becoming more and more prominent. Here's the deal. Jacques Vallée, I can't quote it exactly, but basically said that if these entities are so brilliant from some other star system, why are they abducting people and doing the same sadistic sexual experimentation on them?
Yep.
It's absolutely evil all day long. And the punchline is, for him, he goes, any advanced civilization will be able to do this in a much easier way and with better results than what they're doing. There's a breeding program going on. Sperm taken from the men, ovum taken from the women. Hybrids are walking amongst us. And I realize some of you out there might be recoiling. Genesis 3:15, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards. Jesus warns us it'll be like the days of Noah. And we don't have time to get into that, but that's where we are.
Yeah. So let's kind of What is, you have an agenda, obviously, every
Yeah, I do.
film producer,
Sure.
I write
Right.
things, whatever. You have a point and a thesis. So let's bring it back to that and give us kind of the final point of what you want people to understand and how this is going to shape.
Here's the deal. If you have a nuclear event anywhere on this planet, this will create the greatest climate of fear that mankind has ever experienced together collectively. We are now wired in because of the internet. News travels at the speed of light. We are all wired and connected together in ways that are unprecedented. The grid, the ancient grid system is back, and the enemy knows this. You have a nuke going off, that changes everything.
People be scared.
That creates the greatest climate of fear that we've ever experienced collectively as a human race, and we'll experience it together, collectively. There's a saying I came up with years ago. We go up, they come down. We go up, they show up. Is it possible? Is it possible? It's conjecture, and part of this is your work, Mondo, along with Jeff Van Hatten. But the springboard for that was we go up, they come down. We go up, they show up. Here's the deal. We know that Elijah, when he goes up, we don't know whether it's in the cloud or not, but he goes up, Elisha sees him. We know when Jesus goes up, the disciples ascends into heaven, the disciples, and who knows how many other people watch him. We know that the two witnesses, when they go up,
the cloud.
They ascend into the cloud. Thank you. Jesus goes into the cloud, the two witnesses goes into the cloud. We also know that for the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel and the trump of God. And the dead in Christ will rise first. We who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them where?
In the clouds.
In the clouds. To be with the Lord, to greet the Lord in the air and to be with him forevermore. We go up into the clouds. I heard this 50 years ago, before I was a Christian, 50 years ago, when I was immersed in the New Age, that when they showed up, our space brothers, our benevolent space brothers showed up, right? That certain people were not ready for the paradigm shift in consciousness, and that these space brothers would take those people to another place where they could evolve. Here's what I believe was about to happen. I don't know when. And it's conjecture. It's conjecture. But I believe it with all my heart. The rapture of a church happens. We go up. We go up into the clouds. And out of that cloud comes a mile-wide metal disc. Mile-wide UFO, mile-wide craft. In Fatima, Portugal, 1917, what came out of the cloud was a dull silver disc. And we reported on that in our two films. That is the coming great deception. I heard it 50 years ago, but put the pieces together recently. We go up, they come down. We go up, they show up. We go up into the clouds, and mile-wide craft come out of the clouds.
L.A., appreciate your time as
Thank
always.
you.
And appreciate you watching today. Again, a lot here. I certainly encourage you to continue to see LA's work. Again, it's bringing it to this time, which we're trying, again, not only for us, but we're trying to bring encouragement to the church, but we're trying to bring a warning to those who would be left behind and will not be caught up into the deception. So appreciate you watching this week. As always, thank you for your prayers. We cannot do without that and your support.
Amen.
God bless you. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody.